What's up, everybody? Kabal here. I'd like to welcome y'all to episode 1 of Heavy Ghetto, the vlog version, or video blog, if you will, of my blog, Heavy Ghetto, which I started last April, I believe. So, creeping up on about a year and a half now. It's been going pretty good, a lot of good reception. Thank you, people, so much for reading and following and your feedback and everything. It means a lot to me. It's one of my milestones, I feel, now in my life and my creative outlets, and it's just good to keep it going. And I guess it's just a way of expanding it and possibly compressing it. I'm going to see how much, how many posts per se from the internet version I can get into the video version in a 10-15 minute segments. It'll hopefully be once a week or every 2 weeks maybe in the beginning. I'm not sure. Gonna see how the whole thing goes, feel it out, blah blah blah. As far as production value stands at the time, it's just this, me, one man webcam, old school style, I guess. No music, no fancy editing, no light show, just me in my room. That's it. A little personal level, I guess. I wanted to take a minute too just to acknowledge the fact that anybody who knows me personally or musically knows I'm pretty colorful when it comes to language and using bad words, and I'm going to try to refrain from that throughout these podcasts if I can, blog, whatever you want to call it. Mainly because I don't know, maybe because I'm a dad now, I don't know what it is, but like my kid watches a lot of YouTube, Smosh and PewDiePie and, all kinds of guys, and stuff that I find these guys are really funny actually, but the language they use and some of the content they talk about is, I think they should just be a little more conscious of what they're putting out there, because there are a lot of kids out there watching them and stuff, and I think these guys personally could be just as funny without all of the nonsense and the F words, as my son likes to call them, or bathroom words. But it just makes me think back to when I was a kid, I was all about Eddie Murphy and Cheech and Chong, and George Carlin, just dirty jokes out the wazoo. And my dad sat me down and made me watch this Red Skelton comedy show, and was so adamant about the fact of how funny this guy was without ever using one swear word. I think, he's one swear word or one cuss word throughout the entire performance, which was hell or damn or Christ, I can't even remember, something really mild, and he didn't even actually say it, he just mouthed the word, mimed it, and it was really funny actually, and I always remember that. I was pretty young watching that with my dad, and it's just one of those life lessons, I guess, that kind of stuck with me, that you can be funny without, dropping F-bombs every 3 words. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to get out there, and love you, Dad. Thanks for that. Anyway, moving along here. Heavy Ghetto, episode 1. How did this thing even start? I guess the best way to do this would just to be go back, and I'm gonna read you a little excerpt from the first post I ever wrote for Heavy Ghetto. Just gonna pull it up here. Was entitled A Hero's Call, and that was posted on, it looks like, Tuesday, April 10th, 2012. So here we go. Greetings everyone, and welcome to the first post ever. So why am I starting a blog, you may ask? Recently, a good friend of mine, who some of you may know, started a blog. His name is John McCausland, and he's the owner of UWA Hardcore Wrestling, along with his brother Joe. I was the senior official in UWA for roughly 8 years. In the beginning, I was occasionally reading his blog, which in a nutshell consisted of his involvement in wrestling, or so I thought. John has delved very deep into his childhood, personal life, and all the interesting and wonderful friends he has made on his journey through his life. I've become addicted to reading his posts every day now on company time when I'm dropping my morning deuce. A Hero's Call is the name of his blog, hence why it is the title of my first post, as my good friend and my hero has once again inspired me to do something creative as when I first met him back in 1998. I strongly encourage you to check it out. From there I go on to talk about what my blog is going to be about, and I didn't even know what it was going to be about actually at the time, so I just sort of brought people up to speed what was going on with me musically and stuff, and you know, it sort of just kind of picked up from there the next day when I posted. But just touching back into John and that, you know, I met these guys back in 97 or 98. Had been just moved to Orangeville at the time, tattooing. My band Griff was booming pretty good, and me and my boys were always going to Buffalo to see ECW wrestling at the time, the real ECW, like back in the day, you know. So we ended up meeting these two brothers, John and Joe. They were just young guys at the time, you know, still in high school, and they were saying how they had their own wrestling company, and I think it was Paulie I was with at the time from my band Black Belt Jones. He was, you know, he was a chatty guy, liked to talk people up, and was just like, oh yeah, we have a wrestling company too, you know, the BWF, the Brampton Wrestling Federation, which in reality, you know, was just, you know, us in a backyard and over the years, and like having matches at clubs, you know, gigs when our bands were playing and stuff, just to like entertain people more than anything. It wasn't really a real wrestling federation or company or anything like these guys were saying they had, you know. So we ended up going down there to Caledon to check it out, and you know, it was just this little tiny barn in their backyard, and they had like this busted ass trampoline with a almost like chicken wire type fence around it, and you know, this was the UWA arena, they called it, right? And I remember their mom Teresa coming out and just looking at us like what are my boys doing hanging out with these grown men kind of thing, you know, because we were like, I don't know, it was probably, I guess, about 25 at the time or so, 26, and fuck, Joe might have been 16 even, I don't know, pardon my French. Yeah, so it was just cool, you know. I was kind of like, oh, I guess we kind of got duped the way Paulie sort of duped them into saying we had a real wrestling company, if this was what their wrestling company was, you know. But we ended up going there, having some matches and stuff, filming it, and it was really fun. And you know, myself growing up, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a wrestler, and for many reasons I didn't, which we get into later further in the story. But you know, it was almost like just being able to relive that dream of wanting to do that, even though if it was just in this, you know, ghetto trampoline octagon in a barn out in the middle of the boonies with, you know, 10 people watching. But you know, it was fun just being able to get to do that, and like I really appreciated having those guys in my life and meeting them and kind of being able to live that fantasy out that I always sort of wanted to do as a kid growing up. So, you know, from there it's just like, you know, they started doing shows at his dad's warehouse, and you know, we were getting like 20 people, 40 people, you know, 50 people coming out to see these shows. And next thing I know, John and Joe are building their own wrestling ring in their mom's backyard, and you know, now we're having shows at the house and there's like 100 people or more coming out. And you know, from like 1998 to like 2000, in that 2-year span, the next thing I knew, you know, they had a real ring and were holding real shows in Bolton at the fairgrounds. And I had told them long before that, you know, if you guys ever really get it off the ground and need a ref, give me a call, because I'm there. Because, you know, as much as I loved wrestling, doing the hardcore, the sick bumps and everything, it's like, you know, I was tattooing, and it's like I had to think about my money, my future, and not messing my hands up, because it's my number one commodity really for me. So, you know, that day came, I got that call, and I was fortunate enough to go there and be the ref for the company, senior official Theo Jones. A little history behind that name, I guess. Theo just being a nickname I've grown up with, 'cause it's an abbreviation or first four letters of my last name. And the Jones came from Black Belt Jones, which is just one of my old bands. You know, a lot of my friends used to call me Mr. Jones on the side. So it was just kind of like, keep a little bit of the spirit of the band alive, and, you know, a bit of myself in there, just sort of mixing my different personalities to make another one, I guess. So I get to be Theo Jones and work with these guys and watch this company grow, and, you know, it was just 8 years of unbelievable dreams coming to life for a lot of people, not just myself, getting to meet legends like Jushin Thunder Liger and Ultimo Dragon and all these guys, Jerry Lynn, and I go on, and like so many indie guys I had the pleasure of working with, that I'm seeing them now blowing up. A lot of them are on TV now, WWE. Really means a lot. It really hits home. It's hard. I really thank John and Joe for giving me that opportunity. So when the company folded, you know, it was like sad to see it go. Everybody was sad to see it go. It had become, you know, probably the most successful independent wrestling promotion in the history of Ontario. I'm going to go out on a limb and say in the history of, because I don't really know of many before or many after that have drawn the size of crowds that these guys were getting. But you know, it was tough. Like it pretty much almost bankrupted them running this company, and it's really tragic that it just couldn't get a little more momentum, possibly a little more money, a little more interest, whatever, to keep it going, because it was the shit, man. You ask anybody that was there. You know, I had the feel going to those old school ECW shows in Buffalo. I've been to them in Philly with those guys, you know, and like it just really captured the essence of that true wrestling spirit, you know, not the crap that's on TV nowadays for like the last decade. I'm not even gonna get into that, but anyway, so, you know, 4 years later, it's like John starts this blog, and I start reading it, and it just was really inspiring. And I'm a creative guy. I'm always looking for new creative outlets. I've always enjoyed writing, creative writing, and I've kind of always wanted to write a book about my life too, because I've had a lot of interesting things happen to me, and a lot of good opportunities, I suppose, and a lot of great stories to tell, and I just always thought it would be a fun thing to do. So that's kind of what my blog ended up turning into, but not so much a story about my life, but more so the involvement of music in my life is what Heavy Ghetto ended up transmogrifying into, and that's what it is about and what the story is essentially about. But I will get sidetracked a lot on stuff, and get a little deeper into things that aren't music related, a little more personal related stuff, I guess. And it's just going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. And if anybody's wondering, the origins of the name Heavy Ghetto just happened to be a musical project I was working on at the time. I'm still working on too, and it's doing cover versions of like classic hip hop songs straight up over the instrumentals, but just screaming them out like hardcore style. So just taking the heaviness of the thrash metal and the hardcore and mashing it up with the ghetto-ness of the rap and hip hop. Heavy Ghetto. It's kind of me in a nutshell. You know, anybody that knows me, I was like kind of that guy who was into both genres, you know, way before a lot of people were, and got a lot of slack for it growing up, which is another thing we will get into further down the line. But I gotta wrap this up. Thanks for watching episode 1, Heavy Ghetto. Hopefully I'll have episode 2 up. Hope you enjoyed it. Love to hear some feedback, comments. Subscribe, tell your friends, share it on Facebook, all that goodness, whatever. Love ya, love support, and I'll see y'all soon. Peace.